The Norwegians had a general election today. Now, I don't think the results are very good, although there's a lot of caveats here. And the process of forming a ruling coalition might be long and drawn out, and it remains to be seen what actually happens. Now, I've made a whole bunch of videos about Denmark, Sweden, a few about Finland. I think I've only made one video about Norway ever. Although I think there's a big parallel in this Norwegian general election that I talked about at great length in Denmark in their last general election. So let me get into this. So the party at the top here is the Norwegian Progress Party. And I think much like the Austrian Freedom Party, it originally started out as somewhat of a libertarian party. I think it was billed as an anti-tax party. Then in the 90s, it became a bit more nationalistic, and eventually opposition to open borders and mass immigration became their main issue. And then they become much like the Danish People's Party, where off and on they're acting as kingmaker for, centrist, center-right ruling coalitions in Norway. And they got restrictions on immigration passed. In fact, in 2019, the Norwegian government capped refugees at 3,000 a year. Well, what's happened is, much like in Denmark, the Danish version of Venstre and the Danish version of the Social Democrats have embraced this issue, that now they oppose open borders. They oppose refugees and mass immigration. And so the Progress Party has somewhat lost their issue, because now it's a mainstream issue that all kinds of politicians at least say they support. And another thing is, also like the Danish People's Party, I think a lot of people saw the Progress Party as sitting on the sidelines, not taking all the initiative and all the leadership that they could have, and just taking more of a passive role in government. And so people lost interest in them. And so in the last two elections, they got 16, 17%. They only got 12% this time. They lost 6 seats. Now, then you have the Norwegian center-right, the Right Party and the Christian Democrats. The Right Party is also referred to as the Conservative Party, and they're conservative in the same way that Angela Merkel and Mitt Romney are conservative. Now, Norway is not a member of the European Union, but these parties are all affiliated with EU parliamentary groups. The Progress Party is affiliated with ECR, European Conservatives and Reformers. The Right Party is affiliated with EPP, which is dominated by Angela Merkel's Christian Democrats, the CDU. And even though they're not full members of the EPP, they felt the need to be at the forefront of demanding that Viktor Orban and Fidesz be kicked out, because Viktor Orban doesn't represent our values. And so they're conservative in that they're really not conservative at all on anything that's important. Venstre, actually, they were just a minor party. Now, there's another centrist party called the Center Party, and they got almost 14%, and so they went way up in seats. And so they were one of the winners. Now, for a long time, the Center Party was allied with the center-right. And then from about 2005 to 2013, they were part of an alliance with a bunch of left-wing parties. Although, I don't know, I've seen a lot of conflicting stuff. So if you live in Norway, post a comment, tell me what you think about this party. Now, they are Eurosceptic. In fact, they're pretty hardcore Eurosceptic, because they even want Norway to leave the Schengen zone and the economic zone, whereas Venstre is more or less pro-EU. The Center Party can also be seen as at least somewhat nationalist because they they represent the farmers and they want tariffs on imported meat and cheese and things that the Norwegians make. Then you've got the Social Democrats. They basically stayed about the same. They lost one seat, but they still got 48. And they've moved to, like the Danish Social Democrats, they're moving towards a secure borders position, saying that they don't want mass immigration and so-called refugees, which usually are 99% economic migrants. Now, then you have the extreme left. So down here, you've got the San Francisco, Portland, Oregon radical leftists, and they gained a bunch of seats. So you've got a party called the Socialist Left, and they're for mass immigration and the cult of multiculturalism and cultural relativism and all that. Then you've got the Red Party, which is the Communist Party. It's a merger of two different communist parties. Openly advocates hardcore communism and hardcore leftism, and they gained 7 seats. They used to have 1. They have 8 now. And then you've got the Green Party, which is real left wing. They got 3 seats. They used to only have 1. It remains to be seen how things play out with the Center Party. Now, the big curveball in Norwegian politics is the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund. Norway has the largest investment portfolio of any government in the world except for China. Depending on what source you go by, somewhere between 1.1 trillion and 1.4 trillion invested in stocks and bonds and whatnot all over the world. This money comes from the North Sea oil. The interest and the dividends they're getting on their investments makes up like a quarter of the Norwegian government budget. Now, this is an alien concept to most Americans unless you live in Alaska. Alaska has a sovereign wealth fund of about $60 billion, and they actually give dividends to every single resident of Alaska, as long as you've lived there for at least a year. Well, a lot of people in Norway are not happy about the government having all this money. They think that they're not seeing the benefits of it themselves. And so people I've talked to from Norway say that the government has all this money, but the average person sees no benefit from it. At least that's a common perception. And during the lockdown, while a lot of other governments were borrowing more money, or America was just printing money like crazy, the Norwegian government tried to slash spending, and that made people angry. And so there's a lot of things going on with this wealth fund. Once again, if you live in Norway, post a comment and tell me what you think about how things are going with the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund. Now, the Socialist Left Party and the Green Party, and I believe the Communist Party as well, want Norway to stop drilling oil in the North Sea. They want it to end completely in 2035. Now, the North Sea oil is how Norway got all this money to have this investment portfolio that's over $1 trillion when they only have a population of a little over 5 million people. And so the impression I'm getting as an American, seeing this from a distance, is that the radical left in Norway, they want to go in and withdraw a bunch of money and start spending, but they also want to cut off the source of that money from the origin. And so the issue now that the Social Democrats have is that they're unwilling to make an agreement with these parties to completely phase out the North Sea oil. And they want those parties to soften their position. And so it remains to be seen if that happens. So in this election, immigration was a non-issue. A bunch of the parties say that they're opposed to open borders now. This election, as far as I can tell, was largely about the sovereign wealth fund, global warming, hysteria, and just how the government's managed in general. Now, when the actual ruling coalition is created and they have a coalition agreement, then we'll have a much better idea what the new government is going to be like, and I'll probably make another follow-up video at that time. All right, thanks for watching this video. Click the like button, post a comment below, tell me what you think about all of this, and click the subscribe button. New video every few days.